Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HAZWANIE HANIS binti HALID, and today my presentation will be on a book by Akhbar as Ahmed with the title Islam Under Siege: Living Dangerously in a Post-Honor World. Before we start the presentation, I will share some of the author's biography. Akhbar as Ahmed, or his full name Akhbar Salahuddin Ahmed, was the Pakistan High Commissioner or Ambassador to the UK and Ireland. He is also an author of over a dozen award-winning books. So, this book that I will present today was published in 2003, which is 2 years after the tragedy of 9/11. This book is a reflection on the crisis between the West and Muslim. So imagine a world where everyone misunderstood us. That's how Muslims around the world feel when the action of a few extremists represent their entire faith. That is my thought after I finish reading this book. So there are many interesting information that I found in the book and want to share with the audience. However, since I only have 10 to 15 minutes to talk, I will only focus on 3 issues that I found interesting from the book. The first one is globalization versus Islam, which is discussed by Ahmed in chapter 2. What is going on? Many scholars believe that the collision that happened between the West and Muslim world is a reaction towards global transformation of the world that we currently live in. So what is globalization actually? Globalization doesn't have a fixed definition. Why? Because the constant changes of politics, culture and technology results in many scholars who keep on rethinking, redefining the word globalization. But one thing that most of them can agree on is the different reactions towards globalization. For the first group of people, which is the rich and the powerful, they see globalization as a way for them to take resources from the world and strengthen capitalism. For others, they see it as an opportunity for them to see economic growth and to improve their quality of life. While on the other hand, majorities of the people, especially the ones who live in the African countries, Asian countries, which is mostly dominated by Muslim, and Latin America, believe that globalization caused hardships by job losses and changes in their way of life. The thing is, globalization threatens one's core identity, which can be the nationality, ethnicity, or religion. So, one of the countries globalization do benefit some countries like China and India, but mostly cause sufferings for developing countries such as Malaysia. So, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, the Prime Minister of that time, said, and I quote, "Muslims and Muslim countries are faced with a tremendous and frightening challenge. Globalization in the form that it takes now is a threat against us and our religion." We need to understand that Malaysia is a Muslim majority country. And so we can understand by what Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said that not only Malaysia but also other Muslim countries are uncomfortable, express discomfort over the globalization that's happening in the world. So, happening in the world. However, the interesting thing is Islam vision of the world is always the definition of the globalization itself. Why? Because throughout the Muslim history, throughout the Islamic history, Islam has always practiced globalization in their life, in everyday life. For example, I took from the book is when the Jews, Christians and Muslims living in Spain until late in the 15th century created a rich cultural synthesis in culture enriching the other, which resulted in literature, art and architecture of high quality. Now move on to the next issue, which is the Taliban and misconception of Islam. So Ahmed discussed this in chapter 6, Searching for a Muslim Ideal, Exclusion. So, what is Taliban? For the West perspective, they see Taliban as Islamic body. However, this is wrong. Taliban is a social and religious movement which heavily influenced by Pushtun Wali. Pushtun Wali is a traditional code for Pushtun tribe in which focus on hospitality and revenge. So, one thing that I find interesting about the Taliban is I thought they are always the villain from the first day. However, I was wrong. Taliban, in the beginning of their leadership in Afghanistan, has been very successful. So, in the 1990s, Afghans who are very tired of the catastrophe happening in their country seek for ways to achieve stability in the country. And so they saw Taliban's way, which they integrate Islam and Pushtun's tradition into their rulings. And they see that as a way for Afghanistan to achieve stability and peace. And so when the Taliban first lead a few parts of Afghanistan, they succeed in achieving the stability that a lot of Afghans want. However, after they move out of the border where the Pashtuns tribe live and occupy most of the Afghanistan, they receive a lot of backlash from urbanized Afghans, which they claim that the Taliban rulings result in them losing their freedom. And so the Taliban see this as resistance to Islam and totally change their rulings into tyranny, like banning women from the public spaces and destroying Buddha statues. I want to point out that Quranic verse Surah An-Nisa, verse 34, do mention about correct ways to treat women. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in that verse emphasize on discipline women gently and don't prejudice against them, in which is the total opposite of what the Taliban do. The Taliban does, and so it is wrong for the West to think of Islam as an oppressive religion just because of the Taliban's action, which is totally unrelated with Islamic teachings and all, and more related with their tribes tradition, with the Pushtun tradition. Now, last but not least, the last issue that I want to talk about is the challenges towards Muslims in order to obtain peace with the West and other civilizations that Ahmed discussed in the chapter 7 towards global paradigm. So I just take some of Ahmad's tips for the Muslims to do so that we can achieve the peace, we can resolve the collision between the West and the Muslim world. The first is to put ourselves in non-Muslim shoes and stop demonizing each other. By putting yourself in non-Muslim shoes, it means we need to think why the West hate Muslims so much. Why they act that way, they act a certain way. By doing this, we can achieve a deeper understanding on the crisis between about the West perspective towards Muslim, and for the demonizing part is to stop accusing and hating on the West for conspiracies that may be true and might not be true. And the second one is to improve the education system in the Muslim world. For this, Ahmad insists on the Muslim world to highlight the tolerant and compassionate nature of Islam in the education of their country. By doing this, the younger generation will know and understand that Islam is never a racist religion. Islam has always tolerate others, tolerate other religions, and hopefully they also can learn from it and practice it in their daily life. And in conclusion, it is crucial to recognize that the actions of groups like the Taliban do not represent the true teachings of Islam, which advocate peace, justice, and respect for all people, regardless of gender and background. Misunderstandings between the West and the Muslim world can be bridged by fostering mutual respect, promoting education, and emphasizing shared values of compassion and tolerance. Both Muslims and non-Muslims must work together to overcome stereotypes and misconceptions, paving way for a more peaceful and understanding global community. So that's all from me. Thank you.